Hello, my name's Michael and I'm the vicar of St Paul's in Macclesfield. Welcome to our very first Fun at Four online. And it's not just online, it's in a bag. And here to tell us a little bit more about that is the leader of Fun at Four, Emma. Hello, Emma.
Hello and welcome everybody. This month we've crammed all our Fun at Four activities into one bag for you and we really hope you enjoy it. This month is the season of Advent, the season of looking forward, the season of hoping and the season of waiting.
And what are we looking forward to, Emma?
The birth of Jesus, of course.
Yes, Christmas.
Yes, and while we wait for Christmas, we've got some great activities for you to do in your bag. Some puzzles and some games and a craft activity and some songs and stories as well.
And that's where Emily comes in. Hello, Emily.
Hello everybody, I'm going to be telling you a story and singing a song.
And will you be wearing that hat?
Oh yes, this is my special storytelling hat.
Go on then, tell us a story.
This is a story about joy. There was once a young girl named Joy, but opposite to what her name might suggest, Joy was a very grumpy young lady. She hated birthdays, she hated parties, and she especially hated Christmas. All of the bright lights and festivities made her angry, and she thought it was a load of fuss over nothing. A tree inside the house, indeed. It was all such silliness, and Joy didn't understand any of it, and she certainly didn't want any part of it. Now, normally, Joy's mother and father try and make a big fuss to encourage Joy to join in, but this year, they decided not to bother. "We can't force Joy to enjoy Christmas," sighed her father. "It has to come from within." "But how?" replied Joy's mother. "We'll have to pray for a Christmas miracle," said her father. On Christmas Eve, Joy's mother was downstairs in the kitchen baking Christmas cookies. "Hello, Joy. Fancy helping with the icing?" she asked. "No thanks," grumbled Joy. "I'm going for a walk." "By myself," she glared, before leaving the house and slamming the door shut behind her. Joy walked for miles, taking in some fresh air and enjoying some alone time. But every house she walked past was full of twinkly Christmas lights, with families inside putting a star on top of their Christmas tree, or baking cookies in their PJs, or all curled up on the sofa watching Elf. Joy rolled her eyes and walked quickly past, with her scarf pulled tightly around her neck. She was so busy staring at the ground that suddenly she lost her sense of direction, and she didn't recognise where she was. Luckily, there was a church at the end of the road, and she could see an orange glow inside the open doors. So she decided to make her way to the church and ask for directions. When Joy reached the church doors, the friendly vicar welcomed her in and asked if she'd like to join the service. Joy could see lots of candles, a huge Christmas tree by the organ, and a nativity scene at the end of the aisle. And the church was full of smiling faces. Children, parents, grandparents, friends, neighbours. They were clearly all excited that it was nearly Christmas Day. Joy knew she couldn't stay there for long. "Thank you for the offer, but I'm just trying to find my way home. I'm lost. Please can you help me find where I need to go?" she politely asked the vicar. "Ah, of course. You actually live quite close to me," said the vicar. "If you go to the left-hand side of the church and keep walking, you'll come to a wood with a leafy path. If you walk down that path, you'll come out of the other side of the wood, and then you should recognise where you are." "Thank you so much," said Joy gratefully. And we'll find out what happens to Joy in the wood a little bit later on.
Thank you, Emily. That was lovely. I can't wait to hear what happens next. Now let's have a look what's in our bag and we'll do our first activity. We've got a paper plate and we've got a template for the Advent wreath. This is what the Advent wreath looks like once it's finished. Okay, the extra things that you will need is a pen and a ruler and a pair of scissors and some crayons. So first of all, we're going to get our hope candle, which is this one here, and we're going to colour it in with the purple crayon.
While Emma is finishing colouring in the first candle, the hope candle, I've got a question for you. What do you hope for? Perhaps you hope that someone will give you a present, or you hope that the sun will shine, or perhaps somebody that you know has been ill and you hope they'll feel better. Why don't you make a list of all the things you hope for, or draw a picture? Now it looks like Emma has finished colouring in the first candle. Oh, isn't that lovely? Can you light it?
This is how the candle will be when it's finished. And to light the candle, you just pull out the inside of the candle and that's when it's lit.
So what's next?
Next is the peace candle.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Oh, it makes me feel all calm inside.
What is peace like, I wonder? What makes you feel peaceful?
I know a song about peace.
Great, let's hear it, Emily. Wow, thank you, Emily. That makes me feel so peaceful. And look, here's the peace candle. That is so beautiful too, Emma.
Thank you. Yes, working on these candles makes me feel so peaceful.
Great, we're all feeling peaceful. What's next?
It's time to make the love candle.
Now that love candle reminds me that Advent is really all about love. And that is what we are waiting for and hoping for. It reminds me that Jesus came to show us that God loves everyone. And that's really worth hoping and waiting for.
Absolutely. And now it's time to find out what happened to Joy when she went into the wood. And so off Joy went until she found the wood. She liked the wood. No Christmas lights, no elf, and no stars or baubles on any of the trees. But as she walked, she began to feel a little bit sad. She couldn't quite explain it. She just felt as though something was missing. She began kicking the piles of leaves as she walked, when all of a sudden, she felt her foot collide with something soft. It was a teddy. Joy put her woolly gloves on and picked the teddy up. There was a sticker on the teddy, like a name badge, and it said love. How strange, thought Joy. Perhaps someone has dropped it. I'll see if I can find the owner, she decided. As she continued to walk, something fell out of the tree above her and landed on her head. Luckily, it didn't hurt. And when Joy looked down to see what had fallen on her, she saw a second teddy. Where did that come from? She wondered. Picking up the second teddy, she noticed that this teddy also had a sticker on. This one said hope. She decided to take it with her, as love and hope clearly belonged together. On the way out of the wood, she saw another very large teddy in front of her, resting on a log. She scooped up the teddy and checked for a sticker. Sure enough, this teddy had a sticker on which said peace. With her arms full of teddies, Joy left the wood, and lo and behold, the vicar was right. She knew exactly where she was and how to get home. She began walking down the road towards her house when she saw the vicar getting out of his car. "Excuse me," she said. "I just wanted to thank you for giving me directions, and also to say that I found these teddies in the wood, and I thought that the children at the church might like them." "Why, thank you. That's very kind of you. Are you excited for Christmas Day?" asked the vicar. "Well, actually, I'm not a big fan of Christmas, but I don't really know why. I suppose I feel as though something is missing." "Well," said the vicar, "perhaps this Christmas will be different. After all, you've just found love, hope, and peace. When you thought that you had nothing, all you need now is joy." He laughed. Joy smiled. "Thank you, and Merry Christmas," she said. "Merry Christmas," replied the vicar. Joy ran the rest of the way home, beaming as she scooted past all of the colourful houses with their twinkly lights. Her heart was full, she felt like dancing, and she couldn't explain the warm, fuzzy feeling that she had inside. When she reached her front door, she could smell her mother's Christmas cookies. She opened the door and went into the living room, where her father was in his Christmas pyjamas already, putting the star on top of the tree. "Oh, Joy!" he exclaimed. "How was your walk?" "It was like a Christmas miracle. I found what I've been missing all these years." Joy's father raised his eyebrow in amusement, when their conversation was cut short by the opening music to Elf. "Uh-oh, I'd better switch over," said Joy's mother anxiously as she came into the room with the tray of Christmas cookies. No, said Joy. "Why don't we all sit down and watch it together?" Joy's mother and father looked surprised, but then smiled at each other, said, "Of course," and the three of them huddled together under a blanket and watched Elf as a family. And sure enough, Christmas the next day was the best Christmas that Joy had ever experienced. And all she'd been missing was some hope, love, and peace, and a little Christmas miracle. The end.
Thank you, Emily. That was wonderful. It makes me feel really joyful.
That's good, because our next candle is the candle of joy.
Brilliant. Our Advent wreath is really starting to take shape. And once it's finished, it will help us to remember what Advent is all about. Waiting with hope for the birth of Jesus. Feeling peace because we know that God loves us. And that helps us to feel joyful too.
Oh, it looks like Emma has finished off the candle of joy.
Yes, and I've also managed to finish the Christ candle, which goes in the centre of the wreath. Now we're going to put all the candles together and complete the wreath.
I wonder what else is in the bag. Ooh, animals. Ooh, yummy, some digestive biscuits. Some sweets. And a glue stick.
Well, I hope you enjoyed making the wreath today and all the other activities that are in the bag. Please do send in some photos to us because we'd love to see them and share them in our next Fun at 4 in a bag. Now it's nearly time to say goodbye and Michael's going to say a short prayer.
Yes, let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us hope, peace, love and joy as we wait to celebrate the birth of your Son, Jesus. Help us to share these gifts with others, especially anyone we know who is unwell or frightened or feeling sad. Thank you for loving us. Please bless our families and friends and keep them safe. Amen.
Have a lovely Advent and look out for our next Fun at 4 in a bag when we'll be celebrating Christmas.
Hooray! Goodbye and see you soon.
Goodbye and God bless.